Hello and welcome to Brother Earth Healing. Very special welcome today. This is our second episode, our second video going up on YouTube. First week of recording. Just wanted to share a few words. As you can tell from the video title, we're going to be working with water signs, water energy, and channeling messages for healing, channeling messages of support in this time. And just a few words. Just very, very excited to start this channel. Felt very, very called to offer something valuable to the community, something helpful, particularly with what's going on in this time. But this is definitely like a long time coming in starting this kind of service. Very, very warm welcome and greeting. Thank you for tuning in. I'm going to go ahead and get started, but just wanted to put out there a few notes. I do work intuitively with tarot and with doing these kind of like forecasts. So what we're doing today is going to be a bit of a forecast into the month. And then I'm going to actually have 4 videos up in the beginning of the month and then 4 videos up in the end of the month. So these will be kind of like for each sign energy. So Tuesdays will be for air, and then Wednesdays will be for water, Thursdays will be for earth, and then Fridays for fire. So that's how we're going to kind of schedule it. And so, yeah, definitely tune in, and each session will have like a different piece of the puzzle. And even if that's maybe not like your sun sign, we all have these elemental qualities and energies in and around us. So it's kind of giving us like another piece of the pie with each session. Like I said, I read intuitively, so we will kind of go over traditional meanings of the cards, but I also just kind of tend to tap in and kind of have that direct connection. Let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to just start by offering a little bit of gratitude and some prayers. I'd like to offer big gratitude and thanks for ancestors, both blood ancestry as well as our spiritual ancestry, and just recognizing all of the ways we've been supported and guided. And I'd like to ask for support, offering beautiful messages of healing, of great support. Just giving big thanks. So we're going to take a couple breaths together, just kind of settling in and relaxing. I'm doing all the work here, so feel free to just hang back and settle, letting the mind settle, just open to receive and absorb whatever needs to come through for you. So we're going to tap into water energy, water signs, fluidity. So in my kind of pre-session meditation, I was feeling a lot of very, very strong emotions, which is pretty common for folks that have a lot of water in them. A lot of that energy, very emotional, very easy to take on what's around them, and maybe have a difficult time discerning what's yours and what's coming from the outside, right? I felt that really strongly. Okay. Wow, very interesting. A few of these cards, two of these cards came out in the last reading for air. The very first two that I pulled. That's very interesting. Okay. So while I saw like in the air reading in our last session, there was this really very kind of like forceful charge forward, and I felt that it was kind of like blind, like it was this kind of going like a lot of this friction and built up anger with whatever situation that is, and particularly that makes sense with what's been going on in the world. But this kind of like blind charging forward, ready to go into battle without kind of forethought or reflection as to what is the right action, meaningful and skillful action. And I'm not feeling that as much here. What I'm feeling is that there's what I'm feeling is like there's this really like, back up against the wall kind of feeling pretty strongly. And there's this, I'm going to get a little bit of clarification on this. Oh, wow, that was quick. Okay. Okay, so I'm getting a couple different things. One is that I see like maybe like one group. There's one group that I'm feeling is having a really like a really healthy kind of standing back, taking a step back from the action, I guess, and really doing some really beautiful internal work and spiritual work, and really like doing and really like having a chance to reflect, giving themselves that space and the time to do that, and recognizing that that is the way, like that's the way forward, like that's the way to not only like understand what's going on inside and outside of themselves, but it's also this knowledge and wisdom of that that kind of deep reflection and taking a step back is actually in a very real way taking a step forward in terms of like it's a very evolved move. It's a very evolved way of going about handling the strong emotions that I was feeling earlier, and so that's amazing. That's amazing. That's really beautiful. Although I just feel like it's such a heavy load for that group that it's kind of like that's the only option is what I'm feeling. Like it's made very clear. It's very obvious that that's the only real positive way forward, is to have that reflection. And that's being kind of like in this kind of almost wisdom is kind of springing out from this great, from carrying this heavy load, this great suffering that's being put upon them, that they are taking on. It's interesting that I say taking on, that it came out as taking on, because that kind of clicked right away as I said that. I do feel like there's a sense of, and this is okay, so and so I think this is now kind of going into shifting into the other group, which is kind of what I was saying earlier, kind of right down the center there. Hopefully you can see that okay. 10 of Wands. So I feel like there's this other group that, while there may be an awareness of this need to step back, it's quite difficult, and so the burden, I feel like, is one that is being picked up, as opposed to it's one that they're taking on as theirs. That the suffering, they're kind of receiving it and taking it on as theirs. And I think that that's different from being aware of the suffering and building that compassion, having that compassion arise naturally, and wanting to understand and relate to the suffering. I think that that's different than having a habit of seeking and picking up and adding to the load unnecessarily in a way that's harmful, in a way that isn't bringing insight, that isn't bringing healing. And I think that there's a lot of deeply ingrained habitual, habit energy around that. Yeah, both mental and emotional. And so for both, I feel like there's this real need to, for both kind of groups, feeling, there's this great need to like act, like there's a wanting to, not necessarily like act out, but certainly like change. And I think that the thing that is at the core, or that's understood on both sides, in both groups, not that they're opposed, is the need for balance. And I think that that certainly doesn't look exactly the same for everyone. And so it's like this feeling of going about it the best way that they can, for both groups. And I think it's generally feeling very healthy, besides this kind of taking on, the picking up more and more of the load, beyond what they're able to carry or they're able to process. And I see that as being one of the main obstacles. Yeah. I feel like a lot of, yeah, I feel like there's a recognition of like the turning of the wheel. I like a recognition of natural cycles playing out, which is really great. I'm really happy to feel and to see that happening, and that being recognized, for our water signs and folks that are resonating with that, with water. And that fluidity, I feel like there's a real understanding of that fluidity. I feel like both of these groups have really, done a lot of like spiritual work, particularly the group that is kind of really like, is really kind of hanging back. And like, I'm feeling like there's this also holding of the space as well, which is so necessary at this time, which I can really relate to, because that is what I feel my work is in this time, is like really like holding the space and doing this kind of work as well, which is more active. For the other group, there's also something that wants to come out in terms of, I'm feeling a little bit of this backwards motion. Yeah, and I'm not feeling like it's like a very negative thing. I'm not feeling like it's like a regression. I feel like it's more of like a reconsidering. Like a reconsidering. Like, okay, so I'm feeling like it's like this, you've kind of gone out in the front lines and kind of seen for yourself, right? And had a bad experience with that, and kind of recognize maybe like the lack of value, or the like the downfalls of right, like the front line, like the and so this is kind of like scurrying back to the nest a little bit. Kind of feeling. It's like, oh, we can do better. I can do better. I know, we can do better. There's a better way, sort of thing. And this is very similar to what was coming up in the last reading as well. I mean, I think we're all experiencing something very intense and very collective. And I did feel that sense of yeah, I did feel that in the last reading as well. Yeah, I feel like both of these groups really have the right idea, like really have had, like I've said before, I feel like really have done a lot of the internal work, and have the tools and have the ability also to share those tools with others, and to offer like ways of being more nonviolent, in a very broad way, and offering those tools to others. I feel like, yeah, I'm feeling like that's part of this, part of what it may offer to others in this time right now. I kind of want to look a little bit more deeply into this. And just see if there's any other kind of major thing that could use addressing, and that could be, yeah, like just helpful. I'll take that. Okay, this wants to come out too. I'm going to lay these down as well. Okay, I think this is perfect. Great. I'm going to take that too. Okay, here we go. Yeah. I'm seeing a lot of like exchange, a lot of generous offerings. As well as recognition of like being worthy to also receive, right? Yeah, I'm really seeing really beautiful exchange going on, which I feel like I've seen so much like in my community, and like, yeah, stuff people are posting online too. It's yeah, really nice to see that. I definitely feel that and see that coming off, and the expression of that, like sharing that, like that's such a beautiful thing to share when you see it. It's very, yeah, very inspiring. I also feel like there's some really big leaps and what's it called? Yeah, like I guess transformations, personal transformation going on. I feel like there's, yeah, some really big leaps and growth going on with this, with these groups. With a lot of water people. I'm really seeing, and I think that this is also like a commentary, a lot of folks that are that do intuitive work and things like that, and not just intuitive work, but folks that are in a position to be generous, or yeah, like in a position to be generous. Yeah, I really see that that it's like, yeah, definitely, it's like this really beautiful like offering of many things. I'm feeling like just this really beautiful like outpour of giving and offering, and in a big way, I think in a big way, I think one of the main categories of that generosity is with teaching, with spiritual teaching, and direction in general, being in direction for those who maybe feel like a little bit more lost, a little bit more, yeah, having a difficult time like seeing the way, and I think that there's also a lot of people that are kind of on that threshold of you know, in that coming back and stepping back and reflection. I think two things. I think there's one aspect that's beautiful, that's really recognizing and being grateful of where they're at, and just the blessings that they've received, and they yeah, just being gratitude for like having gratitude for like the small things, which is really great. And then again, yeah, this looking out into the world and seeing like, and then in that reflective space saying, oh, like, what is it, what is it that I really can offer? Like, what is, how can I really serve to the highest benefit of others, and fulfill that, and fulfill whatever role I'm meant to fill. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I feel for many too, there's a separation from other groups or people, maybe like splitting up with couples or things like that. And then, yeah, kind of feeling like a little bit alone, a little bit, like, well, that's a lot of responsibility, as well as like, yeah, like, okay, I have to do this on my own now. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm feeling. But I don't see that as an obstacle. I really see that as an opportunity for those people to make that next step. And I think that that's in a big way. I think whatever is being taken away, falling away, I feel like is really providing a really beautiful and immense catalyst point for that sort of leap in growth for many people. Yeah. Okay. I think that there's a really healthy sort of fanning the flames, or nurturing the fire within. And I think that that's coming about because of this reflection and the shining light, the clarity behind that arises naturally from that process of stepping back. This shining the light, recognizing and seeing a situation in its true form, maybe, instead of having these kind of our own particular lens, of perception, that in many cases, for many people right now, I feel is putting on the lens, seeing through the lens of anger, seeing through the lens of fear. And I think that they're in this group here, there's a lot of really beautiful kind of taking off, stripping away, settling the mind enough to really shine that light clearly, and also providing a voice for that light, for that clarity. This is really beautiful. This is amazing, really. This is like so what we need right now. This is so absolutely what we need right now. I think, and I was going to say this earlier, but I feel like there's an immense amount of like spiritual and ancestral support with this group. I feel that really strongly. I feel like, yeah, folks that have a lot of like water energy and water signs tend to be, many. I think that there's a common kind of feeling that a lot of water signs tend to be, or a lot of healers and intuitive people and mediums and channels tend to be water signs, or have a lot of water in their charts. And I think that there's definitely recognition that there's this a lot easier to connect, tend to have an easier time connecting with source, and like really gaining that clarity, and developing the ability to kind of really, really go deep, and like not afraid to really dive deep into difficult situations and emotions, and really work through that, and doing that really tough spiritual and emotional work. And I think, that's exactly what I see happening. I see this peeling away of the veil. I see this kind of abandoning of, beginning to abandon those things that maybe don't serve you anymore. Like really, an immense amount of growth. And I think that there's a lot of joy as well, as maybe as difficult as maybe situation seems, and as the work may be sometimes in this process. Like, it's so interesting. Like, you can be, I've had this experience, like you could be suffering immensely from some situation in your life, but also just be so, but also like being able to have that clarity through that process of how blessed you are, and of how supported you are, and really seeing the miracle of life, the miracles of life, and feeling close to God, feeling close to source, and close to the people around you, really feeling united, even in times of division. And so I feel like there's this real recognition of that as well going on. Yeah, really beautiful card. I love this deck. This is it's called the Herbal Tarot. This is like the sun here, and I have like a herb for each herb, flower, different trees for each card. This is Angelica. I'm not exactly sure what that is. Kind of looks like coyote bush a little bit. But yeah, I'm getting a lot of really, really happy feelings. Been listening to that song a lot. Happy feelings. Yeah. And this is something I kind of was touching on a lot. A really big theme from the last episode with air signs is like there's this kind of feeling of that there wasn't a lot of balance in terms of the perception, and kind of really kind of seeing more of the dark side of things, and kind of negative side of things, of what's going on internally and on the outside. Whereas I'm feeling a lot more balance here. I'm feeling like there's this process of really going through it, and then at the same time, really, the clarity that keeps coming up really strong. The clarity, and I feel for many like so nice. Like I'm feeling like it's just for many. It's so nice to have that clarity. Wow. Again, also is what I'm hearing. Like, so nice to have that clarity again. And I think and I think why maybe I'm hearing again is because we've had all this opportunity, so much opportunity in this time for many that are staying home. And I know for many it's you don't really have all this time. You may have kids, and it might be quite hectic, and there may be other financial or otherwise situations that is making things really, really tough. But I do feel for also for another group, or for other groups of people, for other people, it is really valuable, and they do have more time to do some of that work, and sit and meditate, and that there's a lot of people doing that work, and really, really using the time wisely. Okay. I'm gonna take this. Take these. Okay. Do this. A few more things want to come out, and then I'm gonna pull some other cards, closing advice and guidance. So let's see, what do we want to say here? What do you... Okay. These are separate. These are, okay, again, 2 groups. Been getting this whole reading, 2 groups specifically. Okay, so this top group I'm feeling like is, it's funny, they come out, the cards come out exactly the same. The first group through the whole reading is on top, and the second group is on the bottom. It's so easy, so easy. Thank you. So, okay, so again, for this first group, it's kind of, you know, like earlier I was saying, kind of went into the front lines and kind of like scurried back a little bit. Kind of like maybe a little bit of a latecomer kind of group, latecomer to the reflection party. I feel is like a feeling of, yeah, being a little bit of a martyr, like having put themselves out there, maybe with friends or family or community. And then, and I got this for the last group too, and feeling a certain like question of allegiance from certain people, not understanding why this group finds it necessary to pull back, and maybe not recognizing the value in that reflective, and gaining that clarity through just kind of coming back, coming back to a reflective kind of period. But I feel while that may have been a difficult decision, maybe, yeah, like feeling may have been a difficult decision, and not everybody around this group, whether that's friends or family or whoever's close, approves, you know, of that kind of approach to the situation. Yeah, it's like immediately like, you know, it's okay if certain people don't understand me, and if they're angry with me or whatever, that's okay. It's their right to, you know, they're entitled to their feeling and opinion. But I know that this is the way forward, the true way forward. And I think that in a big way, it's like, yeah, really setting a very, very positive example. Really acting in a very evolved, very way. And I think, yeah, also in many cases, while it might for some around this group, yeah, like it might initially be a little bit like, oh, I don't know if you're doing the right thing there by pulling back. But I do feel there's this catching on with people around that group, and yeah, and being a really positive influence. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, and just a lot of support for that. Maybe also those feelings of, oh, I don't know if I can do that. I don't know if I can really make that big step and go against what everybody's telling me to do, or what everybody is doing, or, you know, I don't know if I have the real strength to do that. But I feel a lot of support, yeah, seen and unseen, and yeah, that's great. And I think the message too is like, you know, if you're in that position, yeah, really know that you are being supported in this process and guided, really very much guided to that place of clarity and balance. Yeah, and to not worry, not be afraid, you know. Let that stuff, you know, fall to the side. And trusting yourself is what I'm really feeling with that group. And so for our other group, who kind of initially had this intuitive sense of needing to pull back, reflect and gain clarity before action. Yeah. It's interesting. It's kind of like the same message. It's kind of like, yeah, like really moving on. Whereas for this group, though, I feel like there's an important message coming through that's about, it feels very specific. It feels like somebody's going away from an organization or a group that they've spent a lot of time building and supporting and contributing to. And there's definitely a feeling of loss and of incompleteness, wishing that there would be more support for their way of expressing themselves and going forward. But that's not been possible. And they've had to leave. They've had to leave the group. I feel like this person is very, very much stronger for it. And also I'm feeling a lot of guidance and support. I feel like it's taken a lot of strength. I feel like it's really taken a lot of strength for that person to do that on both sides. But for some reason, particularly in this situation, it feels rather intense. Like there's this gripping and pulling that person back into whatever group, organization. I think that this person has really had to tame and tame their own emotions. And I think that they've been very successful at that. I feel there's been a lot of success and really doing that more difficult work has been sharing. Yeah. And really distancing themselves from the fight, from the fighting, from the fussing and fighting. Yeah. And I think that just, breeds even more strength, breeds even more solidity. And that's great. That's really, really great. Yeah. I think that both of these groups are really on the right track. And I feel, whether you resonate with one or the other or neither, I think in a very general way, really wanting, I think that there's, the message also is like really wanting folks that are tuned in here to know that there's a lot of support and you're on the right track. And it's like, and there's gratitude for these people that are kind of doing the harder work and going against what maybe people are telling them. And, I think then there's gratitude for that because it's not easy. But it is, like a very noble way forward. Very noble action. Yeah. And so, I'm feeling like there has been this taking on of this, really beginning to truly master themselves, emotions. And I think that this is beginning to be actualized, being graceful in movement and action. I think that is being actualized. Instead of be graceful, I think it should be you are being graceful in movement and action, and know that even if it doesn't necessarily feel like that, if it feels like being torn apart from something you've worked really hard to build. There's a lot of, that you've done it gracefully, truly, and as gracefully as you could have. Really getting that. Here we go. Enjoy growth and reap the rewards. Yeah, exactly. Let's see, maybe if we, for the maybe more esoteric among us, let's see if there's any, I want to ask if there's any particular guides or unseen supporters around. Very interesting. Wow, really. Okay, so firstly, see your seeds grow. Spring, see your seeds grow. Yeah, beautiful. Broken arrow, embrace the energy of peace. Break the cycle, break the hold, breaking through. I'm getting a lot of those. Yeah, breaking down barriers between people, between groups. Yeah, a lot coming out of there. Embrace the energy of peace. And also breakthrough. Breakthrough. That's what I feel is happening for a lot in this group. Breakthrough. Allowing that ability to embracing peace within oneself. So here's some advice. Asking out loud for protection. Asking ancestors. One of my teachers she was telling me, ask for healed ancestors for support. Don't always have to go towards, healing all your family traumas. Ask for support from healed ancestors, those that have done the work, as well as whatever guides, unseen supporters and friends up there that may be helping you. Asking out loud is very powerful. I feel like this is quite important as well coming out. This is one of my favorite decks that I have here. It's called Angels and Ancestors, I think. It's an oracle deck. Taking care of your needs. I think recognizing your needs. I think that's really strongly coming out. Recognize your needs. Okay? Be aware of yourself. Be good to yourself. This is what you're doing. This is your work right now, holding the space. Not all of the action that's going on right now is negative or that area is, misplaced. There's a lot of really beautiful, positive, intelligent, evolved action that's going on right now as well. And if you're not exactly called to be out there on the front lines, which is not everybody's calling, it's not everybody's role right now. Being able to hold the space energetically, holding the space for people, holding virtual space as well in support for others, holding groups of support groups, whatever your role is, whatever you're called to do. Don't feel like it's less valuable. Don't feel like it's less valuable. It's so needed. It's so valuable. And thank you so much for all of you that are doing that. I'm getting really emotional. There's a lot of gratitude coming in. A lot of proud. They're proud of you, ancestors, guides. Very proud of you. I'm getting that really strongly. And there's our big guy there. Definitely always feel Jesus in this card. Really, it's like that little dove guy out of his hand and everything, but yeah. I grew up with a bit of like an atheist viewpoint from some family. I never felt like I had a really strong connection with like Jesus or like that tradition, but I do have Jewish ancestry, and the more I do this work, and I feel like I'm so connected to Jesus and like that tradition and the true teachings, the real teachings of Jesus, unobscured. Yeah, and so whoever resonates with that, going back to our spiritual roots, which has a lot to do in many ways with our actual ancestral heritage too. I feel like it's all connected. So yeah, beautiful. Really, really beautiful reading. So just wanted to close here. It feels very complete here. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I really, really hope this was yeah, helpful and supportive. Yeah. Yeah, if you feel like supporting and spreading the good word around with this channel and with what I'm sharing, and have found value in it, you can subscribe to the YouTube channel, Brother Earth Healing, and throw a comment or like it or whatever, and I'd be super happy to like start a conversation and kind of go deeper. I'm also available for like private sessions doing intuitive work with tarot, or I do other kinds of intuitive work as well as healing, energy work, and I also have been teaching meditation and Qigong for some time. So if that calls to you, I'd be more than happy to support however I can. Yeah, in offering those things. But yeah, thanks again for tuning in, and many blessings. And yeah, thank you for all that you are doing in this time.